As real estate investors, we have to be very careful of our investments. I always tell people to be very careful if they have to buy anything in an HOA, because recently they actually had hundreds of thousands of dollars put to owners that had condos in certain areas of Miami. Stick with me, I'll be going over that in just a moment. Hi, I'm Emmanuel. Welcome to If I Can, You Can, the channel where if I can do it, you can do it too. I go over real estate investing and home renovations. Now, if you like this content, please like and subscribe below. Leave a comment. I'd like to hear what you have to say. Today, I'll be going over some things in the news recently about how Miami's been going crazy with HOA assessing fees against the owners. In recent years, there's been a lot of hurricanes happening in Florida. And from those, there's been some regulations and changes that have been made, which put a lot of pressure on the HOAs and have forced them to make special assessments against the owners. In particular, Miami was hit hard about this after a series of hurricanes, and in particular, a collapse of a building back in 2001. They've had to change the laws that required HOA to hold a larger reserve for major repair and structural inspection of the building. From that, what that did is a lot of communities that didn't have sufficient reserves to cover those costs had to pass it on to the people who own the property and live there. There's one example of the residents had a $400,000 special assessment levied against them on each unit just so they could build up the reserves, do mandatory repairs, and bring up the safety specification to the current compliance levels. And there's another condominium where the unit owners were assessed anywhere between $30,000 to $110,000 to do almost the exact same stuff, build up their reserve, and comply with the safety regulations that are put in place right now. The major problem with this is that a lot of the people that retire tend to move down to Florida, and in particular Miami. They live on fixed incomes. And if you're not expecting something like this to happen, which anyone with a reasonable thought pattern would not expect this to happen to them, you could be stuck in a major way. And they can't even get out of it because that fee is levied to the next person that you have to sell that property to. So if the house is worth $700,000 and you have $400,000 that is in a special assessment, you have to discount it that much to the next person. If you don't own it outright, you could be underwater on your home due to no fault of your own. That's why I tell people you have to be exceedingly cautious if you buy in an HOA community, because these kinds of things can happen and there's nothing you can do about it. Now, are the HOA boards doing this maliciously? Absolutely not. At least I like to think they aren't. What it is they have to comply with the regulations and they have to start doing things the way they're required to do it. And they have to deal with things like increase in maintenance costs and insurance premiums going through the roof, which when you're Florida and you have hurricane after hurricane hitting you and you have some of the highest insurance claims in history, that will tend to happen. Do I foresee this happening to every HOA community? No. There's some really great ones out there. There's some really bad ones out there too. But this just shows you, if you're running your numbers and you're renting out a property, or you're even buying as your primary residence, you need to take into account that a special assessment can be levied against you if something crazy ends up happening. So instead of just putting away money for the CapEx or repairs and vacancy, you may want to put a little bit of money aside for a special assessment in case that does happen. But for right now, there's a great example of why that should happen. If you have any other examples, I'd love to hear from it. Please leave it in the comments below. As always, please like and subscribe if you like this content. But that's all I have for right now. I'll see you in the next one.